All right. It looks like it's working, so we'll just assume that it is. Um, I got Bruce in the co-pilot seat tonight, and I am working on the next Undersea Hero page. So we're just gonna get right into it. It's the next one after. This page right here, where we saw last week, where he's throwing the dice and he manipulates them so that he can use his little suction cups to manipulate the dice, and the dice land exactly how he wants them to win every time. And I originally sketched it out to look like this, but I thought that there wasn't enough differentiation between these two panels, so I made a replacement panel right here that I'm working on to be more of a wider shot, and then we'll bring in tighter. We'll have a foreground background element here with the big shadow. So yeah, we'll just get to work, and hopefully everything is working okay. And yeah, it's been kind of a long day, but here we are. We made it to Wednesday evening and live drawing. So I'm happy to be drawing. Hey Desiree, how are things on your side of the street, as I would say? Everything's falling off my desk. That's the page that I'll be mounting it to. But let's just get to work with these back. Let's tighten up the pencils on these background characters. Yeah, it was raining here today too, so we have that in common. But I'm going to go back in here, and you can see that the pencils have been a little smushed. That's Bruce. I got to let him out. Sorry, Bruce wanted out of the studio, so I had to open the door so he could get to his food bowl, the litter box, etc., etc. Whatever cats are doing at 8:05 in the evening these days. I exaggerate these a little bit more. Sorry, I gotta move it over a little bit so it's more in the middle of the screen, right? Is that better? That's the middle-ish, right? Cool. We will. And with background characters, I just like to have them be interesting and believable. I really enjoyed drawing this guy here. It's like the gambler man of like a cartoonish nature with the tiger skin jacket and the gold tooth and the big Elvis glasses. I gotta be able to see my reference here for that one page. I think yeah, this guy had a pretty straight nose. I don't think people are going to care if there's like minor variations between background people from panel to panel, but I try to get it in the ballpark. Today I was word spreadsheets. Not my strong suit, I wholly admit. So I was going very, very carefully and doing putting a sheet of paper below each line and checking everything off and trying to be as fastidious as I could be. That's the kind of stuff that, you know, in graphic design, when you're doing the placement of like a whole bunch of content, there can be a lot of easily missed things. And for me, I tend to transpose numbers, and if I move too fast, I'll just miss whole chunks. So This lady, I think, was basically just like average, yeah, average length blonde hair. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Your paintings are still here. I think I should just get in a car and hand them off to you if you're near the store where we met at last time. Maybe this weekend. I can just drive up there. Actually have to get up to that neck of the woods at some point soon. Although, wait, I won't be able to on the Saturday. My car is going in the shop Saturday. Yeah, they got to replace some parts under it. Where then, because it's an older car, they got to like cut off part of it and then weld part of it back on to get to the part they got to replace or something. So it's going to be there all day. Oh, thank you. I I wish I had like an afternoon tea today. I'm feeling a little sluggish. Like last week, I felt like I had the pep. I was chatting, I was talking, there was questions, there was a lot going on. I was moving, but that's how it is with live shows. Some weeks I am tired. Some weeks the cat wakes me up at the crack of dawn. Thank you, John. Yeah, I'm working hard, and the way I like think about this book, and the way I think about books that I even buy is I would rather take the time to get everything as good as I possibly can than to like rush through it, I think. And some of these panels are redos, like where I'll go and I'll replace a panel because like, the storytelling or the flow is off or the angle doesn't work or there's a tangent I didn't realize from the prelim. Thanks, man. Trust me, I always throw extra stuff in whenever I'm late on getting stuff out. So I think there's plenty of people that can attest to that probably in the audience. It's always just the mailing. I'm good at getting the art done, or if I got to email something, but it's whenever I got to mail something. I wish I had a better system, and I'm glad that when I do this Kickstarter, like that's all I'm going to be working on is just fulfillment. Well, yeah, I would agree that their sequencing panels is there is a method to it, but yeah, that's where the creative decisions get really made, and you're dealing with tone and diction and different ways of saying things. Like there's so many choices that you can make as an artist um, that changes the nuance of the story if you go one way or another. I think this lady had like a space necklace on. Let me take a look. Yeah, it was just stripes, like a halter, and then like a big space necklace, like a couple of planets. So it's like this. Some lines. There's our background people, and I gotta tighten up the shoulders on this lady. They don't look right to me. Camera keeps doing that annoying autofocus thing. It's like her pectoral muscle is here. Shoulder should be over there like that. Leads into the pectoral with the neck bone, collarbone, traps. Back, we gotta get our stomach, hip bone, hip bone. It's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. We're gonna start over here. Let's get our brush pen out and ready to go. Take all this stuff out beforehand by setting up my computer. I actually have to replace the battery on my laptop this weekend. It's been giving me error messages, yelling at me to replace it. But it's just another thing you gotta do. Where is my brush pen? There it is. It's the one with the nice, pretty case. Everybody probably saw this. This was the finished Planet Comics sketch cover we did last week. I've got a couple more I've got to do for my pal Jeff. If people like this, I can do the next one on next week. Some of the suggestions or requests were basically like pretty space lady, so I don't know, space warrior lady. We'll see what we can come up with. Thank you. I did speak to the folks of New England Comics today. No idea what's happening, as per usual, but I'm still in the loop, I guess. Even though I don't know what's happening, they still call me, so. One of the things that I notice when I see how other artists have been drawing mouths lately, it tends to flatten their skull. Like it's a tip that I've been giving to more and more people lately. Is just to remember that like this when you're drawing the head, that if you go a straight line, it'll flatten out your composition. But if you just remember that things wrap, like the mouth wraps around, that front part where the jaws is, instead of it being just straight across, it'll help give your figure a little bit more volume. Just remembering that, if you look at it from above, there's the ears, there's where the eyes will be, there's the nose, the mouth is going to come around like this, especially if it's smiling, because it's stretching further over the top teeth. So that's always a one thing to keep in mind while you're practicing at home. And it's something I work really hard to try to focus on when I'm studying, is how things, describe the shape of the object that they're a part of. Cheekbones, how they work, where the front part of the jaw breaks the plane of the front side of the cheekbone. This guy is just a straight triangular nose. I would say medium-sized nostrils, so they just come up a little bit. Hey Jay, good to see you, man. know you messaged me. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. It's been a long day. Excuse me. Um, how are you doing? I know you got a show coming up. I think you mentioned that you've got. Is it Western Mass you're going to be doing? The 2024 J. Kennedy Roadshow. Which where the eye makes the nose, those connect. And from where the lighting is, it gives me a good basis for the structure of the skull and like the brow. And this is just the top panel, you know. I definitely am spending a lot of time on things that people are going to gloss over because I think there's honestly two words or maybe just two speech balloons. I think you have Krakus going yes, and then the dealer just going winner, winner, or something like that. I don't have the script in front of me, but it's not a very verbose panel, so people are going to tend to gloss over it. I enjoy drawing curly hair. I know that that's a weird thing to say, but it's just a cool, different texture that I like to do. I gave him like a little chin stubble. I don't know if anybody was alive when I was alive in the 90s and the Jay was alive, Desiree was alive. I don't know everybody's ages, but there was a period of time when that was a facial hair choice that some gents decided to make. I don't have any other meaning behind it other than like I hadn't seen it in a while, so I did not make that choice. Well, it's not like they went full stubble. Like they would just leave a little patch of stubble. It was even not even like the Von Dutch or the goatee look. It was just like a different. It was just a little patch of stubble. And just when doing background characters, sometimes it's just sharing like an odd memory that I have or an idea, something I saw once, and I just thought it would be visually interesting in some scenario. I do have people dressing up at this casino, so yes, the Shaggy, very much like. Where was I that I met? I think it was Colorado Springs where I met the gentleman that played Shaggy in the live action films. Matthew Lillard. He's a nice fellow. I did the share a gif of a famous person um, today over on Twitter, and I just shared Patty Warbucks because I got to meet him a couple of times, and he was nice both times, maybe three times. Um, but the time I was reminiscing about was when I did a panel with he and Griffin Newman, who was Arthur on the Amazon show, and Jeff McClellan, the writer of the Tick that I've worked with for many years, and Bob Polio, the art director of the comic book company. And it's something that honestly, like, I think more shows should consider is just putting the creative talent with the actors. And I realize that like sometimes the actors have a very specific people they don't want to be around at shows. They don't want to sit next to, they don't want to be in a car with, they don't want to be too close to in the hotel. These are all things that I had to experience when working for um, a company that ran conventions. among other things. I actually have a whole binder of drawings of just practicing how people smile, different smiles, the way the skin wraps and moves, the different dimples that people have when they smile, different. Um, just practicing, just learning how things look believable, and how to simplify them, how to get rid of extraneous detail and still maintain the structure and the purpose of what I'm trying to convey. The cool thing about these pens, these Kiritaki pens, is you can get a little bit of a taper to your line, and you can do kind of a faux, what's the word I'm looking for? Feathering with them. You can do a kind of a faux feathering. That's an interesting pair of words to say next to each other. Hey Chad, good to see you. How you doing tonight? So you can get like almost a faux feathering with that faux feathering, faux feather. Sometimes I'll look online and Google like different new jewelry, things that people are wearing now, and then I'll look at it and I'll see if I can alter it in a way that better fits the world. But it'll give me a starting point. Um, whether it's a dress or a swimsuit or a pair of pants, pair of slacks, suits, and I'll just look at that and I'll see how I can tailor it to fit, you know, what I want to do and not copy it. Oops, I'm gonna have to wipe that out. Made a mistake. But like we said last time, it's a good thing about working in black and white. You only have to worry about two tones, really. And these are just the background characters that were around the craps table while Krakus was throwing the dice. So don't know if they'll ever show up again. Maybe they will. Maybe someone will write a letter and say, "What's their story?" I don't know. Maybe that'll have to be on the web comic. I know I owe some people some messages. Hopefully, I can get everything caught up tomorrow in that department. Hey, Rick. Absolutely. Jason's show is one of the two shows I've signed up for this year. And honestly, it's a show that I would go shop at if I wasn't there as a guest. They just have art dealers. They got good old comics. I will 100%. You gonna be there? You gonna pick up some cool stuff? I have not looked at the guest list. I think I saw Mark Bagley was going to be there. It'll probably be one of the only times I get to see my buddies like Joe St. Pierre. Oh, cool. It's a lovely show. It really is. Easy to navigate, good stuff, good creators. Does I mean, Jason has a show there that, like I said, if I was just wanting to go shop for comics, it's a place I would go to do that. I also have to just make the rounds. I haven't gotten to like Rubber Chicken in some time. It's one of my favorite stores in the area. Do I have my reference? There it is. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to. This lady is the lady that blows on the dice a couple of pages ago. So she's kind of like the Lady Luck character of this scene. So I don't know. I was just trying to think of like someone doing a happy dance. You know, that was kind of what I was going. Rick says the almost the entire '90s era Venom Spidey team will be there. I'm hoping to get some art if I can make it. That's pretty cool. That'll be a big draw. I know people still like Venom and uh, the symbiote characters quite a bit. So I don't know, Rick. I don't know if we're about the same age, but I definitely remember when they were first rolling out characters like Venom, and there was definitely like a palpable excitement about them when they were coming out. Same thing with when Carnage showed up, and not as much with all the other symbiotes that showed up, but it was definitely a moment in time where people were really engaged with something new that they were doing. Um, KFF Gaming says, "Nice art, thank you, thank you." I think that's the first time I've ever seen you here, so see if we can we'll pop your comment. Thank you. Quite a few people in attendance tonight, so thank you everybody for coming to hang out with me after a long day of work. I'll try to keep things moving along. If we could finish this panel tonight, I would be thrilled. It's been slow goings on stuff lately, just because I've had a lot of extraneous stuff I've had to take care of. in my non day job time. So thank you all for bearing with me here. Yeah, I gave her short hair in the previous panel, so I thought it would just be a nice way to differentiate her as a character from the other folks in the background there. I forget where I saw a necklace like this. I think it was actually at the Antiques Depot I was at. There's a couple of antique stores around here where they have booths, and some of them have some comic books in them. So occasionally I'll pop in and buy some comic books there. I'm always looking for old illustration stuff and old artist tools as well, because some tools they don't make anymore, and I'm actually looking for some old drafting tools. For some reason, I feel like this line here is just a little soft. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just imagining it, but the line on Krakus just feels soft. Oh, Bruce is meowing through the door. It sounds like he's playing with a crunchy ball. Try to have different angles for different stuff. Get a nice, like, kind of upshot of her hand behind her wrist a little bit. I thought that was just a nice little way to make it look like she was, yay. I honestly have had no time to read much in the way of comics lately. I've just any free time I got, I'm working. So I did get to have dinner with my father-in-law last night, and that was nice. Just went to a restaurant up the street and came home. Israel says, I think the soft line works, but also doesn't look soft to me. Oh, thank you. I think it just needs some of the line thicknesses tightened up and just a few things here and there just pulled together. Let's get this part a little cleaned up. It's definitely dry by now, so can go in with our kneaded eraser and pull out some of this, some of these pencil marks. That way we can get a better look at what we've left down, those choices we've made for those different lines. There we go. All that time on a background character, right? See, I'm still making those graphical choices as I go, whether it's where the knuckles are or whatever. I'm still making those final decisions because it's not till you put the ink down that it is final. And even there, you still got room to maneuver with whiteout and different techniques to move things around. So, I think people tell me that they're nervous about pen and ink because ink is permanent. Um, but I would encourage people to just keep in mind that the with having only two tones, you can easily fix something that, you know, looks like a horrendous mistake. The only stuff you can't really fix is if your composition is off. Like then you have to just blow it up and start over. But little bits like that, like if something is out of place, just a tiny bit. Jean Pierre asks a question: what art have you done which you will likely keep forever? Well, Sean, I've done a lot of art that I don't plan on selling. I have all my turtles covers. I have all of my tick interiors, except for I believe I gave one page to the writer, and I believe Brian has another page, um, and I gave one to my folks. So, you know, not to dive into cliches, but God willing, everything works out, and I don't have to sell my life's work. Because I kept most of my stuff, and it really came after sitting next to Walt Simonson at a convention years ago because he kept all of his artwork, you know, and he gave me some perspective and some thoughts that I hadn't considered at that point, and I've stuck to them as best I can. I've sold a few things when I've had to. That's why it was so hard for me to put an original art page reward on the Undersea Hero Kickstarter because, like, you know, other people have Fourth of July barbecue memories. They go to friends' birthdays all the time, or they just have other things that they've done where I was at home working on comics, and all I have are like the pages and the books themselves. So, like, and you can only sell it once. So, that's another thing that I tend to point out. And I can't tell you how many artists I know that wish they had hung on to some of their work to sell later in life. And I think if you follow the heritage auctions that have been going on, where some of the artists that did keep their work, um, I'm not saying I'll ever be at any of that level, but I didn't want to feel like I was, getting slighted or selling it short. So there are lots, but there's also bad art I did when I was younger that I kept because it was like different milestones, learning how to do certain things. Like that's stuff that nobody wants. So, and I just love to draw. So, as I've said many times, my goal career wise is get to a point where I can just go to a show, maybe a banner, Stack of paper, fistful of pens, or my bag of tricks, as I always say, and just draw for nothing. Like that's where I would love to be because that means I'm not struggling, I'm not scraping, you know. I can just go hang out with my friends and do a few sketches and some people can be happy. And that's what I would love to get to someday. I was talking about it today. I was like, maybe after this, the next thing to do is just a web cartoon, and then just do a collection of it every now and again as the print element to it. I know I'm not explaining what I'm doing right now. I should be. Right now, I'm spotting the blacks for her like black leather gloves. And I'll grab a brush pen and you can see when I fill it in because the light source is obviously over back here, so there'll be a hard edge to it. It's like behind them, so like the brightest light comes through here. Be hard pressed to sell my Conan cover, or the Batman TMNT cover because like I can't say I'll ever get to have anything else published by DC ever again. Who knows? Like that could be a once in a lifetime thing. And what texture did I do on this? Yeah, I think I used the brush for some of this, but I think this is too far away. Well, that's just for fun. Let's just use our pen because this is my favorite tool, and it's not super useful on tiny little figures and stuff or far away panels, but man, it is by far the best tool in my box. Now we're going to work on the texture on our desk. It's kind of like a Vanna White sequence style dress. John says you're going to need that art available for your IDW artist editions. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I love those books. I think they're wonderful. I actually don't own any because they're very expensive. Um, I've always been hoping I'll find one of the ones I'm looking for like a bargain at a convention. So, do you have any? Do you own any of those books? They're beautiful. The new Mazzucchelli Batman one would be like his artwork so good. And I would love to pick up an Alex Toth one. You know, I would love to pick up the Simonson ones, but I just yeah, bookshelf space is at a premium in the Nichols residence, and yeah, just the cost. Because I think that those artist editions are $100 a piece or more. At times they might be a little less for different ones, but they can be quite expensive. And I actually end up buying original artwork if I have that kind of money floating around. But I should pick up at least the ones that one or two that I really like because they are beautiful books. Hey, if anybody wanted to trade, I love trading artwork. So if anybody wanted to trade a large drawing for that, although I think there are a couple of people that picked up the big drawing off of the Kickstarter. So those large drawings are going to take me, I don't know, 40, 50 hours a piece. So yay, everyone's happy that Krakus is winning. Right? Yay. Hey Jonathan, good to see you, man. You had yourself an adventure based on your Instagram, sir. Clear this out. Get rid of some of those pencil marks. There we go. What texture did I use on that? Okay, I just used a pen line, so that's good. That'll make the table itself a little easier. We'll go back. We're going to start with a pen line. You can see I'm just going to pull a little bit of this up because there's a little bit of excess on there. Let me grab a smaller pen, actually. Believe it or not. Let's see. Let's see. How's this one doing? This one looks pretty good. Oh man, sinus infection. Yes, I know that well. I'm sorry. The so unpleasant. Sorry, man. Sorry you're dealing with that. Wish that upon no one. It started off feeling like a cold, and then it just progressed into a sinus infection. And then of course because of my awesome genetics, it turned into a sinus infection with a wee bit of an ear infection. So my body's cool like that. It's like, oh, you just wanted a sinus infection. Well, let's give you an ear infection too. Oh, your ears are still blocked. The worst. I am sorry, man. If you need me to pick up your pole this weekend, I can drop it off on your doorstep. I had a couple of people ask. No, I have not seen Aquaman 2 yet, even though I know it's on the HBO Max at the moment. Right now, I'm just doing a very basic wood grain texture. You add some swirls like it's made out of, back in woodshop class, like it's made out of cedar. And then it's got like a cherry finish to it, which you won't see in the pen and ink, but you'll see in the color. More on that pectoral muscle. Bruce is yelling at me through the door. I can hear Bruce. Wow, a lot of people in here tonight. Wow. Well, welcome aboard. Just a reset, anybody that doesn't know, this is a panel that I'm using as the establishing shot for a 4-panel sequence on the current page I'm working on. Krakus is just one game of dice, and he and the other people at the table are interacting, celebrating, reveling. We are going to need to add a little bit of shadow, and we're going to get to use our brush pen for that, which is exciting. Love that brush pen. I would love to, at some point, do a large piece where I could use that thing for like every aspect of it. You know, I'd have to draw it big, but I think it would be fun. And the beauty of the way I'm coloring this book with the old-fashioned colors is that as far as this page goes, this character will just be blued out. Krakus will be in his full color. And then I actually think that the rest of the characters will just be in cyan, blued out. And then we'll have like a bright background, either a magenta with like the yellow pop. And then the table itself might be in color. So maybe Krakus and the dealer are in color, and the table and everyone else is blued out. But we'll see how it looks. But you know, that's an old comic book trick to help with the framing, and I'll definitely be employing it on various pages. Give this guy a little back hair. Yeah, if I see something that needs something, I'll just go in and throw it in there. A little wrinkle in the skin just below the ear. Maybe a little wrinkle on the neck because he's looking down. There we go. Pull that nostril. It's more in line. Pull back that lip. There we go. Really simple. Like, you know, just think about what a piece of wood looks like, you know, the grain, and just let your hand flow and let it be, you know, organic. Just kind of let loose. You don't want it to be stiff. I actually think I need to go in here and just add a little bit. I know their background characters, stop noodling at them. If I can think of 3 of my artist friends who are watching me draw this, they are just like yelling at their screen, like, dude, stop drawing on that thing. Stop drawing the background. Grab our brush pen and we can fill in this guy's jacket. Let's go just with a black jacket on this fella here. Trying to impress this lady here with his shaggy chin beard. A little brush texture in here, give us some greater line variance in there. Look at that, livens it right up. All right, so what we can do here, give ourselves, what I'm doing is I'm pulling right now to give us a nice tonal shift. And pulling like this works really nicely with that texture underneath it. And when you're folding textures together and you're doing it in ink, it will not give you like a moire pattern because you're doing it all in ink. But if you were to go in and do like a bunch of tonal screens or anything like that, it will give you that moire pattern. Hey, thanks very much, John, and thanks for the question. I'll catch you at the next stop down the tracks. Just need a little more here. See, some of the lines are a little timid. It's probably because I was rushed. You'd ask yourself, well, why didn't you just do the pull lines and not do the texture underneath it? Well, it's because it doesn't have that nice wooden feel to it, that harmony that these things create together. And what this does is it actually helps with the framing of this figure here. So I'm actually going to take it all the way to the edge. So that when I come back on this with just like a flat, almost red color, it's going to look like wood. And that's what we want. Hey Nate, how are you? Which Nate is this? Is that Nate Lovett? Is that my old friend Nate? Or is this a different Nate? Might be a different Nate. I think his YouTube is a different handle. My pal Nate Lovett just did a big West Coast trip. Did a convention out there with my pal Ray. I'm hoping to see Ray and Nate at a show sometime soon. I haven't heard anything from Gem City or any of the other Midwestern shows that I would regularly see my old pals at, but once again, the olive is popping up out of his drink. And that's just an ongoing visual gag that people get tired of, but I don't. Let's get some of our, see, I'm going to have to go in and clean up these lines here. See, and I don't use a ruler on these lines, these types of speed lines, because I tend to find the ruled lines not having as much life. I like those imperfections. I like those just organic bits, especially when you go in and you throw that color in with it. I think it pops more. Let's pull, 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 pull. Pull, pull, pull. Lots of pull lines on this one. Not as many push lines. Sometimes there's a push line, sometimes there's a pull line. Go around, give ourselves some clean lines. Let's erase some of the under pencil here. Some pencil there where her hip is. clean this up as best we can. Then we're going to grab our white out, and we're going to go back in and we're going to clean up some more of that stuff where those mistakes I made. We can clean those up real quick. 2 shakes. There's some ink spatter I gotta clean up. Let's grab our trusty Presto pen, which is my favorite whiteout of any product that is on the market. I like it better than bleed proof white. I've had mixed results with like those, was it Pasca pens? I thought those were meh at best. I kept being told that those were good because you could draw back on top of them, but you can't really. It's really no different than any other whiteout. It's just not quite as white. So I am a Presto pen until they stop making these things, which of course I said that out loud, which will make it happen tomorrow. There's that little blob on her chin. I wanted to add a little glimmer to his glasses here. We'll go in and just add a little like that. Go in here. Glimmer. Little what do you call it? A smear, little ink smear there. And I'm looking at this on screen and seeing if there's anything. Oh yeah, I wanted to get that edge here. Let me just clean this up. This line right here was bugging me. See if I can very delicately pull this back just a hair. That might do it. There. See, and I broke that, so I'm going to have to go wait for this to dry and then just clean that up a little bit. And I think I do need to go in and work on some of this because he's in the foreground and all of his line thicknesses are the same as the people in the background, and that'll also flatten your piece. So let's just go in and just exaggerate some of these line thicknesses. A little more here, a little more there, a little pull here, a little pull there. It starts to bring him forward a little bit. I especially think the back line here needs. Oh, we got some white out on here. That's all right. We can go over the top of that and fix that real easy. Pull that line in. And you can see already, just by that exaggeration, this side we don't want it to be quite as bold, but we do need to shore it up a little bit. And then bang, right there. That it is dry. See, on the Pentel, the Presto pens, you can go over that stuff. You just have to wait for it to fully dry, and it always helps to use a brush instead of a pen on that second pass. Let's get just a little more shadow there. just too much white on that back leg. Need a little bit there, but not too much. See what pulling these lines forward really does? It really does just differentiate that foreground and background. Gives you a little more split. Let's get a little bit more black on the side. There we go. That's much better. See these lines right here? They're just too similar. Gotta go in and shore them up a little bit. And I think it would be best, because it was creating a tangent, to black out the rest of that arm there. And maybe it'd be best to black out the rest of this leg. Let me just look at it for a second. I think it would. I think we're gonna black that out. We're gonna lose that like that. Hell, we'll pull this forward even more. We'll go like that. Let's put a little bit more into his laurels. He's got like those, the crown of like the laurels. And we're gonna go like this. Just pull that just for the hell of it. Oh, I think we're in pretty good shape for this panel here. Got to shore up some blacks here. Which, these are the little bits, like, because if I don't go back in and flatten these things out, when I scan it, all of this stuff comes out like gray. So just making sure that the computer can pick up the difference between the two is a good thing. There we go. Yeah, see, we needed to pull that forward. Let's just go a little further, like that. It's just pulling that character forward. Like, you can now see there's so much more depth between him and them. And that was really one of the things that was missing from this page. And it's definitely because when I started it, I was drawing a little timid. Sometimes that's natural for me. Well, I want to thank everybody that hung out with me tonight. A lot of people in the stream this evening. So I don't know if I threw up the right hashtags or everybody had the evening off, but I'm really glad that people came out and hung out with me and watched me draw. And yeah, get a little bit more Undersea Hero done. So I'll keep working away. This panel right here is the update. You guys saw the finished page that I did before it, and yeah, hopefully I'll get this page done and posted over the weekend. And I did, in fact, do the ice jump challenge portion of the Kickstarter that my uncle purchased to make me jump in the 40-degree water. And that will be on the next Kickstarter update that I post. And I will make sure that I get one done very soon. So thank you, Desiree. All hail Lord Krakus. He is the relative we didn't know that we needed. But alas, I'm out of words and I'm almost out of ink here. So good night. I hope to see everybody next Wednesday. Take care.